send me another one. So what to do now that I've got two of these sharpeners? Well, I thought what we'd do in this video is I'll just kind of show you the sharpener. We'll put it together. I'll sharpen a knife. But more than that, I need to do a little TLC to this knife here. If you know much about knives, you probably recognize this as a Benchmade bug out. I really like this knife. This is my EDC, my good EDC. My work EDC is a Benchmade Griptilian. Great blade, and that's how I like my knives to perform. I want them to pop out of there. This one has had some pocket time. Lint is in there, and it's not bad, but it's not as good as it could be. It's not like it was when it was new. So we're gonna take this apart. We're going to just clean up the little pivot points, those little, they're like brass washers or bronze washers, lube it up, put it back together. And a little pro tip, if you are a little bit nervous about getting into one of your knives, do what I'm doing right here. Get a camera set up and film the whole process. That way, if you forget where a part goes, you can just go and figure out where you pulled it out from. I do that with a lot of things that I've not experienced with, but I think we should be okay for this. So let's just quickly set this rim spingly up. I hate styrofoam. Nice. Ooh, look at this. They even give you little knobs right here for your fingers to go into. Handy dandy. And these diamond stones that they make are excellent. I have another set of them. I'm really excited to have another one. Their water stones, I find that they didn't last that long. The diamond stones, amazing. These ones feel a little coarser. Ooh, maybe my other ones are just worn out. I never really noticed it. But another thing I like about these is that they've gone to, looks like they've etched it somehow, so you can always tell which stone you're using. It's got its identifier there. And we've got a 150 grit, 220 grit, 400 grit, 600 grit, and a 1000. Use a knife. I hate styrofoam. Main support arm that clips into place. Press this button, bang, clips out of place. Handy dandy. Okay, cool. This arm, this is the pivot arm. I need a few accoutrements. This little bolt right here, it's got a little spring in there. Maybe this one isn't spring loaded. Anyway, it's got a little Teflon piece there. On this side right here is a little Teflon slider. Put this on. Look, I got this styrofoam all over me. Styrofoam and dumb drivers, go away. So that's where you adjust your angle. And then there's markings along the side here. They're not specific angles, but kind of guidelines. So this is like hunting knife, kitchen knife, fillet knife, and then they actually have a picture of a straight razor up on top there. This thing here, this is our little main pivot bearing. Styrofoam. Styrofoam, 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 go away. Okay, so we'll just, there's even styrofoam in there. Good night. Pop that in, lock it down. Okay, just like that. Now we've got this rod. We'll put this in here. Put this O-ring on here. Got a little stopper, stopping collar, so it slides over. You tighten that in, and then you can put it so it doesn't over travel. I think I might put that on this side because I remembered from my last one, I was worried about cranking my hands into the knife. You'll see what I'm talking about in a momentation. Okay, it's styrofoam in my mouth now. Come on, seriously. So this is a park feature. That way, you know, when you're setting a knife up, clamping a knife, you don't have to worry about this hanging down. You can just take these little, oh, I gotta tighten that up better. These little two forks, they just go right over the bearing there. There's a little square notch in the bearing. Bada boom, bada bing, slick as a whistling Dixie. These are our arms that will, or fingers that will grip the blade. Now, I'm not sure how small of a blade you can do with this apparatus. More styrofoam. Make sure you get these bolts both pointing in the same direction, because that would be silly not to. Okay, so. Oh yeah, this should work. So you kind of get the picture here. We've got our two fingers. You can move them in and out. I've done a 9.5 inch, was it 9 inch? Chef's knife, and that was getting close. I would estimate like a 10-inch blade length you can do. You're probably gonna have to just swing the tip underneath. You wouldn't have room to rotate the handle, but I would say 10-inch knife you could do on this Cadet. You'd spread it out like that, obviously, but okay. Now, I'm gonna put this sucker in here. Oh, wait a minute, what am I doing? We gotta clean this knife first. We're gonna take it all apart. We're gonna clean it all up because we don't wanna do that with a roast and razor sharp blade. Tools we're gonna need to do this. We've got a T6, T10, T9, I believe, unless there's others. I haven't gotten into this yet, so we're assuming that's gonna be what we need. First things first, let's take the clip off, because that should come off. Not that it really doesn't need to, but I just think it's a good idea. If you're gonna take a knife apart, I'm gonna break it down, then really do it. Okay, we'll put these over there for safekeeping, so we kind of, you know, keep track of stuff. I think we just start taking this apart. Start undoing these screws, hope for the best. I'm gonna pull them all at one side. This is a great little knife. You know, it's funny because I saw Wrangler Star's review of this knife, and he came to the conclusion that he didn't like it because it didn't give him the fizz, but I think this is a good knife. I really do. Also, I mean, what do you EDC a knife for? I'm not looking for this to be a crazy tool. That's why when I'm working, you know, I've got a slightly bigger blade. Still, this isn't a fixed blade. Generally, I don't carry a fixed blade anymore. If I am out in the field and I know I'm gonna be doing something where I need a fixed blade, I'll carry one. But EDC, I think it's a little overkill. They're cool, they're fun, but I generally don't EDC a fixed blade. Oh, okay, so we got that one. So now I think what we'll do is the main pivot here. Again, I've never done it to this knife. I've never taken this knife apart, so I could be doing things wrong. Okay. Don't want to lose these screws. Okay, so why are we not? I think I might have to undo this. This bolt here doesn't go all the way through. Oh yeah, I totally, what? That is, oh, crazy. That is so crazy. Who would have thought it would be like that? Okay, so we take the spring off just like that. I gotcha. This makes sense now. This makes total sense now. So we'll undo this side too. Amazing how fine some of this stuff is. Like when you think about it, there's a little piece of sheet metal right here that the screw goes into. That's pretty crazy. Okay. So now if we can get this off. Our main pivot. Okay. Now, there's our little brass bushings. I like to even keep, I guess the orientation really doesn't matter. Yeah, those things are pretty dry looking. And our blade, nice looking little blade here. S30V, this is an amazing steel. I don't consider myself to be a real steel nerd, but this knife holds an edge noticeably better, way better than this, which is 154 cm. I used to think that was like, oh, it's nice steel, and it is. But man, this thing I sharpen way more than this thing per the amount that I actually use the blade. I carry this thing more, so actually I'm gonna sharpen it more, but you know, for the number of cuts I do, this thing holds an edge so much better, but still a good knife nonetheless. Okay, so I think to the blade, we're going to wash this down with some lacquer thinner. We'll get all the lint out. You can see I've got some residue here from like cutting open boxing tape, packing tape. We'll clean that up. I'm not sure how far we need to go with this. We need to take this one here off as well. That should release the scale. So now there we go. Now this will pop out, and now we can just take this, take these little springs off. Right here, they pop into there, and then this whole thing can slide like this and out. Now assembly might be a little touchy, but keep this spacer here. There we go. Now we're gonna clean it. Don't need to go crazy on this stuff. You know, we're just trying to wipe down the lint, and the bearings there, they come with a little oil, and that's the stuff that builds up the crap. I should get a paper towel to put this on. Essentially all we're doing is a very light cleaning and a very light lube. And it's amazing the difference that will make. See the dirt there? Wipe on down. Ooh la la, that's nice. Cool. Now we're going to want to use something milder than lacquer thinner on the scales because there's some type of a plastic. And lacquer thinner will melt plastic, so definitely we'll be cleaning with a different solution. These bronze bushings, we'll give those a little hit. I call them bronze like I think they are bronze. They look bronze, I mean who knows what they are, but no need to take these out. I don't think that's necessary. All right, just got a little simple green here. Spray it over the garbage can and then clean them up. So TSPROF did send this to me. Thank you guys for that. To be truthful, I thought this was going to be a totally different sharpener though, so I wouldn't say I'm mildly disappointed. I was looking forward to some brand new fandangled apparatus that I'd never seen or heard of before. It's a good sharpener. There's nothing wrong with this sharpener. I quite like it. Okay, now we're gonna get a little bit of oil. Oil I like to use is a bicycling specific oil. This is Tenacious Oil. This is good stuff. I've never actually tried any of the dedicated or specific knife making oils. I would like to. I think that'd be kind of interesting, but they might be really good too. The only reason I'm using this is because this is a decent oil. 3-in-1 oil, some like sewing machine oil. They all probably have different benefits, but I find this stuff does fairly well. Super light coating though, and then I kind of try and clean up as much as I can. And then the Tenacious, it's very like very high viscosity. It clings to stuff. If you've ever used this stuff, you know exactly what I'm talking about and why I find it to be a good choice. All right, how do we tackle putting this back together? So this is this piece, which is obviously this piece. Good, we're making progress. Yes. So now we've got our different sides figured out. And this would obviously go like this. That's not cleaned properly. So that'll be like that. Now what we got to do is put this together like this. And then slide this little madauber. Oh, which way do these springs go? They go like that. So we're going to slide this thing. Let's see if I can see what I'm doing. So I'm sliding this like this. Wait, only one spring goes in. Yes, that's right. Okay. So I'll go up there like that, like that. And then these springs get brought over like that. Come on. We can worry about that afterwards, actually. Let's get a couple screws in here so this thing doesn't fall. Oh, no, we can't put those screws in yet either, duh. Here, I need my pliers. I need my leather man. There we go, pop that like that. I did not know that that was two separate springs, so I'm just kind of grabbing this here, put it right up. Right up in there. Yeah. Spring just kind of notches itself right there. Okay, now we can slap this sucker into here. And then from one side, we'll bolt it on. Now we're just gonna lightly bolt everything. There's no reason to crank it all up yet. I think it's an important tip. Anytime you're assembling anything, you know, you really don't need to just go crazy and torquing it all right away. I always like to leave everything a little bit loose. That way, if you need to shimmy and adjust, things just line up better, I find. Okay. So now we're ready to apply our, well, actually we're going to put in these ones first. Put in these screws. These will be the hard ones. These ones I'll have to hold one of these in the middle. So the threads will grab. Perfect. Okay, this is going to be mildly tricky, I think. I'm going to actually take this out. Not all the way, but we're going to loosen these. And this is also a pivot point, this pin, so we're going to want lube on there for sure. Take some of this Tenacious Oil. Slap a little dollop on there like that. Again, I don't want a boatload, like I just want the whole thing covered and then kind of cleaned. Even what's on my fingers here could be good. So I'll just kind of to the one, to the other, maybe a little to the blade, it doesn't really matter. Okay, got that. So now, I think the proper, like if you're gonna really nerd out about proper machinery assembly and blah, 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 should keep these oriented the same on the same side, but people want to get into an argument about how important that is. They can go ahead and do that without me because I think I've got some better things to do. Okay, so now we got to try and line these smig jigglers up, which isn't too hard, but it's also not too easy. Okay. Oh, yeah. So I think this is just kind of like a little playing game. Just gonna get it started. It's a nice thing with the oil on there too, is it kind of keeps these bearings in place. Okay, so that's looking pretty okay. Now we just got to get that little bearing pushed over. We are so close I can taste it. There we go. Now she's going in there. Now, this is the point where you can kind of control how much tension it has. And the problem with mine wasn't that there was too much tension, is that there's too much junk in there. So important to keep the thread locking on this bolt. You want to have thread locker on there. I was checking it. This stuff's still in good shape. Nothing wrong with adding some. Just try not to get it, obviously, into the bearings. We're just going to back it off a little bit. So what I did is I just kind of brought it to some decent tightness, but it's stiff. Even a one-hand opening is a challenge. So we're just going to back it off and kind of see where we can get. Okay, so that's... Oh! That's pretty good. Oh wow, that's way better than it was. My hands are a little oily, so it's weird. Also, I'm not used to operating this without the clip. So we're gonna go ahead and put all these bolts in, we'll tighten it up, and then we'll sharpen it, and then we'll do a final tweaking just so we get it exactly how we want it. Yeah, that sucker is popping good. Beauty. Oh, yeah, it's amazing just having that little thing for your pinky to grab right there. How much easier it is to open it. That's beauty. Oh, quick little, I don't know, what would that take? 15 minutes. And, you know, ba-boom, ba-bing. Feels like you got a brand new knife. Okay, so now to the sharpening process. Oh, my word. This ridiculous styrofoam. Look at styrofoam. Just has to stay here. Can't leave. All right, so take our cuchillo. Wonder if we use just one of these. This is kind of a, it has the, like the little swedge right here, and so it's not gripping on a flat. That is the one drawback with this type of a sharpener, is that you've got a full flat grind. There's potential that when you clamp on here, the blade might be skewed one way or the other. So I'm not a fan of knives with full flat grinds anyways. I know Spyderco's are kind of famous for that, and who likes Spyderco? Ugh. Anyways, because I can, I'm gonna steal a single-use, single-blade clamp from my K03 sharpener, provided that it fits in this groove. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so what you got your clamping apparatus. This is where we're gonna clamp the blade. And then again, moving this up and down will control the angle that we're sharpening at. Put our stones, we've got this rod here, the spring loaded on this side, and there's dovetailed. There's a little 45-degree angle here, 45-degree angle here. These stones have a corresponding angle, so they just lock in like that. Pull this thing back, spring loaded, bada boom, bada bing. You're ready to sharpen. Actually, I'm gonna put some Tenacious Oil on here too, so it doesn't, listen to that sound. Stuff is crazy, just a little bit. I'm mostly kind of smearing it all in there. It's not even really wet. That sounds better. You'll never get rid of noise, but I like it. Look it, there's styrofoam everywhere. Okay, so we're gonna lock this blade in on the flat section. I just kind of alternate. This one has 2 bolts and then 1 bolt as a jacking bolt. So I just kind of do even tension, and you can feel like this one's grabbing, this one isn't. Now we're gonna, this back one, it's a jacking bolt, and that's gonna really lock that blade in. So we've created a pivot point right here, and then this is spreading these apart, clamping these jaws down. We're ready to sharpen. The one thing I need to do now is get a Sharpie. I want to match the existing bevel that I have on here, so what I'm going to do is just right on the edge of the bevel, very carefully, I'm just going to draw, basically color the secondary bevel, so that sharpening bevel, color that whole thing with Sharpie. Try not to get onto the flats of the blade. If you do, it's not a huge deal, but what that's going to do is we'll be able to stick our stone on here, and as we rub, we'll see where we're taking off Sharpie. Like right now I'm way high, which makes sense. So you know, say this is the ramp of the bevel. We've Sharpied this, and this is our sharpener. If we're just touching right here, obviously we've got too acute of an angle on our sharpener. We need to make this more obtuse. And if we were like this, just hitting the tip, we need to make it more acute. And there'll come a sweet spot where you just barely touch it and you'll take off all the Sharpie off that bevel at once. And that's how you know you've matched an existing bevel. Hopefully it makes sense. Now we're there. Oh wow, we've already got a secondary bevel there. This sucker's cutting fast. I've had this comment a few times, people saying they don't like how much material these style of sharpeners remove. And I found that odd because it depends how much you remove with the sharpener. Any sharpening process is removing material. It's how far you go with each one. If I'm using a Waterstone, I'm grinding away material. And if I grind for 4 hours on one side, I'll take off too much material. Just like if I did this for 4 hours on one side, it would take off too much material. They're all very similar. He's like, these things take off way too much material. And it was this handheld, like a pivot style, you know, hand controlled thing. And it's like, if it's taking off too much material, then you're taking off too much material. Anyways, sharpen it as far as it needs to go and then stop. That way you're not gonna chew your knife down, faster than it needs to be tuned down. So now for the next exciting part, this feature that I haven't yet showed you, that's this here. So when I want to flip it over, all I do is press this lever and rotato potato, pull it. And there's a chamfer here. So the way these meet, this piece, the main base is like this. The part that has the clamp is like this. So they come in together, self-center. Cool. Funny, because whenever I would buy a decent quality knife, like a Benchmade or something, I would always be so sad when it started to get dull because I could never put an edge the same way that they did at the factory. And now, whenever I buy a brand new knife, the first thing I do is put my edge on it with one of my methods of sharpening, because I do it better than typically they do at the factory. Okay, that's good. You can see that material we removed. All that gunk. That is just one use on a small blade, and we've already pulled off all that material. These things work so good. It's pretty incredible how well they work. Did we get it sharper? I'm very certain this is nice and sharp, but I need to prove it to you. Look at that rim spingly. Super nice cutting action the whole way down. And that's the reason I use a paper test, is just to check the blade. You know, you may have it sharp everywhere, but there may be one little nick or a little burr that you didn't clean up properly in one spot. That would make itself prevalent in the paper test. And if you can cut thin, this is like catalog paper, if you can cut this stuff, that's a decently sharp knife. I like it. What about paper towel? Now we're asking for trouble. No, not quite there, but definitely got a decent edge on it. And back to one-handed operation. Ba-boom! Anyways, excited to have this back in the rotation. Not today, because I'm working today, so I'll keep Old Faithful right in here. But for my Sunday go-to meeting times, when I gotta, you know, have a nicer knife on me, this fits the bill. Very lightweight. I love this knife. I just really like it. For a casual, to have a knife, you know, this isn't a heavy-duty tool. This is it's a cutting tool. If I need to open up packages, I need to break a little cardboard down, something like that, works excellent and takes up very little room in your pocket. Very light and nice and discreet with a deep carry clip. And I guess kind of the main subject of the video, the TSPROF Cadet. You can go to their website. I don't know if I have exact links for it or not. If I do, I'll put them in the description. I've got a very casual relationship with this company in that they ask me if I want to have one of their sharpeners to review it, and I say yes, and then I get it and I make a video, and that's it. That's my relationship to them. So I'm not sponsored by them. Yeah, I just think they make good stuff. The gizmosity level of their sharpeners is pretty high, and I've been very, very happy with them. I've been using their sharpeners probably like 4 years, maybe 5 now, and even the very first one they gave me, using that one still to this day. So there we have it, folks. The TSPROF Cadet, Benchmade bug out, all fun things. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it, and we will see you on the next one.